Hey, loves. Welcome back to Where's the Love podcast. I'm your host, Carissa. I am so excited to be here with you shooting another episode. This one I am so excited about. I've been waiting to do this episode because it's one that is desperately needed in the times we are living in. Today, we're talking about building a love-filled life. And everyone wants a love-filled life, but very few people know how to build one. We chase it, we pray for it, we post about it, but love isn't something you just stumble into. It's a life you intentionally construct, one brick, one boundary, one healed moment at a time. Before we hop into today's conversation, I just want to take a quick moment and ask you for such a precious favor. If you have not already, please hit that subscribe button. Our community is new but growing. Please help us to continue to grow this community and this podcast by subscribing to this channel and becoming an engaged member of our community. I truly thank you and appreciate you so much in advance. Growing up, I didn't know what love-filled living looked like. I knew survival. I knew responsibility. I knew showing up for everyone but myself. Love was something I gave, not something I lived in. But I eventually realized if I didn't learn how to build a life rooted in love, every relationship I entered would be affected by the void inside of me. I can remember growing up and always feeling like I really wanted to know what having the perfect family full of love, full of laughter looked like. As I mentioned in previous episodes, I grew up in a single parent household. So those moments, although there, were rare. My mother was such a loving and kind mom, did the best that she could. But as a single mom, she was often depleted and exhausted. And so many of my brothers and I needs couldn't be met because she was already stretched so thin. I can remember fantasizing about the families that I used to watch on TV and how their houses were filled with love and laughter and joy. And I remember wanting that. And in my young mind saying that that's the life that I will cultivate one day when I became an adult. I would get married, I would have the kids, I would have the house, the career, and everything else that seemed to make a love-filled life possible. But as I grew up, I quickly realized that that reality would take much needed and hard work. I was traumatized. I was wounded. I was broken. I was unhealed. I didn't know I wasn't operating as a whole person. That young girl only knew survival. But as I became an adult, operating and living out of survival every day, I quickly realized that this isn't what that dream or fantasy that I once had looked like. This wouldn't make it possible. I had to become something that I needed in order for me to cultivate and build that life. I had to become healed and I had to become whole. So I had to quickly come to realize love-filled living starts when you stop living an emotionally autopilot life. Loneliness is now considered a public health crisis. We had a full episode on this. Go and watch it if you have not already. It's a really good episode and informative one. The U.S. Surgeon General states loneliness increased risk of heart disease, stroke, dementia, and even early death by 26%. Gen Z reports the highest loneliness rates. 79% say they feel disconnected. Social media has replaced the real connection. The average person spends 2.5 hours online per day, but has fewer close relationships than previous generations. Love literally strengthens the brain. Research shows stable love increases oxytocin, which reduces anxiety and improves memory. Healthy relationships reduce cortisol levels by up to 23%, lowering stress. People with strong emotional bonds live longer, happier lives. Love isn't soft. Love is survival in a healed manner. Let's be real. Many people confuse a love-filled life with a romantic partnership or relationship, but that's only one piece of the picture. Relationships are transactional value, while a love-filled life is self-value and worth being identified and practiced, whether in a relationship, partnership, or single. A love-filled life includes self-love as the foundation. We also have an episode on this. Go and watch it. Knowing your worth, speaking to yourself with compassion, holding your own boundaries. Healthy relationships, friendships with reciprocity, mutual respect, and emotional safety. Purpose and meaning, doing things that aligns with your values. Emotional regulation, responding with awareness instead of reacting from wounds. Community and belonging, love in the home, and sisterhood and mentorship, and the people who show up. Love is a lifestyle, not a moment. So let's get into the true foundation of love. Where do we find the true meaning of love? Because it's not in the world. The Bible is the actual foundation of love. Jesus is love. So in order to know real love or to build a love-filled life, you have to know him. Now, I want to ground this conversation in the foundation I live by. That's Jesus for me. What the Bible actually says about love, because a lot of us were given rules growing up about love, but we weren't given revelation. We were told what love should look like in an unhealthy manner, not what love actually is. But 1 Corinthians 13:4-7 tells us exactly what true love is and should look like. And it states, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self seeking, it is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrong. Love is not happy with evil, but it is full of joy when the truth is spoken. It always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, it never gives up. Love never fails. This is not just relationship advice. This is the architecture, the blueprint for creating a love filled life. So let me break it down for you. Love is patient equals emotional regulation. A love filled life gives grace to yourself to grow slowly. You stop rushing healing. You stop rushing timelines. Love is kind will look like how you speak to yourself. Kindness in your self talk changes your entire world. You can't build a love filled life speaking to yourself like you're the enemy. Love is not self seeking equals healthy sacrifice, not self abandonment. Biblical love isn't about losing yourself, it's about loving others from a full place. Jesus doesn't require us to abandon self. He says, love your neighbor as yourself, which means you have to know and have the foundation of loving you before you can pour out to love others. Love keeps no records of wrong. Looks like release of old shame. You cannot build a love-filled life if you're holding on to old guilt, regret, or condemnation. God is not keeping score, so neither should you. Love always protects. That would be boundaries. Boundaries are holy. Protection looks like boundaries. Protection looks like discernment. Protection looks like not letting everyone have access to your spirit. Love always hopes will look like a hopeful life is a love filled life. Hope keeps you from settling. Hope keeps you aligned. Hope keeps you believing for better. When you follow the blueprint God gave you, your life can't help but become love filled because you're building from his definition, not cultures. So, what do most people get wrong about love? Because if this was easy to do, the world would be full of love, right? Love relationships would be everywhere instead of divorce rates skyrocketing, the younger generations remaining single, people having less children or just deciding not to have children altogether, people getting married later or just deciding not to be in a relationship at all. So, what are we getting wrong about love? Well, I have some things here that I want to discuss. I did some research and asked ChatGPT to give me the most searched questions that people ask about love. So, the first way we get love wrong is we have misunderstood love as being a feeling. Love is not a feeling. Feelings fluctuate. Love is a state of being that comes with showing it through actions, discipline, choice, and alignment. Secondly, if someone loves me, they'll change. No, that's how we get love wrong. Change happens from personal responsibility, not from pressure. You can't pressure someone or love someone into changing to be the version of them that you want or need them to be to feel safe. That's not how change works. That person have to want change for themselves. I can love them enough for the both of us. This is the wrong way of doing love. This is impossible. Relationships require two regulated hearts, not one exhausted heart, in order to make it work. Love means tolerance. No, love is accountability, safety, not tolerance of disrespect. Love will just happen eventually. Not true either. Love grows where you intentionally plant it. So let's discuss really quick love versus relationships, because this is another thing that we get wrong in culture and society. I love how Chris Hinton on TikTok puts this. And if you don't know who he is, go find him. He has really good advice for those who are okay with unconventional wisdom and their way of learning about modern day love and relationships. He says that relationships is a transaction of value, which, if you truly think about it, that's exactly what relationships are. Relationships require reciprocity. Love requires you to be patient and kind. Being kind does not equal being nice. True kindness equates to benevolence, affection, having or showing a friendly disposition, charitable, compassion, etc. But relationship requires two people to show up and exchange actions in the value currency that they actually accept. So I'll give you a true example. My husband and I were having a conversation the other night, and it was, a heated conversation because we both had some strong feelings and emotions behind what the other person was not reciprocating. And so in that, he had brought up an incident where I came in with food and I didn't offer to get him any food, although he don't eat from the same place where I got the food. The fact of the matter is, being loving, being kind is still being generous, offering even if you know the person hates the place that you're offering to buy them food from. So he had strong feelings about that. And so we had a conversation, and the gist of the conversation was the reciprocity in a relationship is missing, or it's not fully missing, it's lacking. There's some things on both ends that we aren't giving each other that we should be. And that created tension in a manner where we both were silently holding these big feelings and emotions that we had toward one another, but we weren't communicating. And so in that conversation, he said to me, there's no love laws, but I just feel like the reciprocity isn't there. I'm not getting what I feel I need. And clearly, I wasn't getting what I felt I needed from him. And so I had to really take that conversation and process it. And then preparing for this episode, I had to understand that this is exactly what he was saying, that the value exchange in the relationship, we were both exchanging value, but we weren't exchanging value in each other's transactional value exchange. So if we were countries and my value exchange is the dollar and he is Europe and his value exchange is the pound, but I'm trying to give him currency from China, the yen, or from somewhere else, that's not what he accepts. And he can't give me a currency that I don't accept. And so in relationship, you have to reciprocate, but you also have to reciprocate in the transactional value that the person actually needs or desires. So I was giving him what I wanted him to have, but that's not the value that he needed or accepted, and vice versa for me from him. And so we had to have this conversation and hash it out, and for me to really process it, and both of us to understand that, yeah, we may be given in the marriage, but if we're not given the value that one or the other actually accepts or needs, then our giving is just a waste. We're just freely given, blowing money away that no one is accepting, or it's not really desire or wanted. And so when you understand that if you're in a relationship and your relationship is having so much trouble and turmoil, take a step back and analyze. Is this really what I need? Is the person giving me what I need? Is he or she exchanging the value that I accept? And am I reciprocating the value that they accept? Relationships, when we truly come to understand that relationship is the part where people say love is an action. There are actions tied to love. In kindness, you have to act out kindness. And being patient, you have to act out being patient. But love itself is the state of being. Love is who we are because we were created by the one who is the essence of love himself. Jesus is love. God is love. The triune is love. And so if we were created by love, as love, we are love individually set apart from our partner or any relationship. We show up as love in any room that we enter if we are operating in that space of truly living out who God has created us to be. So if you have an understanding of who God created you to be, and you know that he created me to be love, then you understand that no matter who you're with or what you're tied to, you are loved individually. And so wherever you go, that love that is within you go. It doesn't need another person on the other end of a relationship in order for it to show up. You can love a stranger by being kind, by being charitable, by being giving, by just being humane. That's love. Being patient with yourself. That's love. So love isn't what we believe relationship to be. Relationship and love are separate entities, but often intersects because we all do show up individually in our relationships as love. And then that's the value currency that we both should exchanging in addition to everything else that comes in the relationship. Love is always the foundation. And if we can never get rid of it because it is our state of being. We are love. We don't depart from it. It doesn't separate from us. So some enter into relationships in what they mistake as love, but is actually like or lust. Love does not flow with emotions. It remains steady and constant through the ebbs and flows of our emotional waves and the influx of our feelings. Love should be our default state of being. This looks like Jesus. Jesus was love, but he also was emotions and feelings. He got angry, he felt joy, he felt happiness, sadness, grief, etc. The reason he's able to advocate for us is because he can resonate with our humanity. So why do we struggle to build love-filled lives? Well, according to my research and prepping for this episode, I have a list of things that could be the culprit. Number one are attachment wounds from childhood. I've also mentioned this in several episodes that I grew up with mother wounds and father wounds. My father wounds were more predominant than my mother wounds, but what I come to understand is that it doesn't matter which one is predominant. Wounds are wounds. And when they show up in every relationship that you interact in, even in your relationship with yourself. Mine's even showed up in my relationship with God. I couldn't resonate with seeing God as my father. I didn't know how to feel that or receive that. The truth of his word that he is the father to the fatherless. I didn't know how to accept that. But I now know that, yes, he is my father and he was always my father, even in the absence of my physical father. And so when we understand that attachment wounds from childhood, it keeps us in a repetitive cycle of what feels familiar, not what's healthy. Second is generational patterns. What we inherit, like the beliefs that we inherit from generations of family members, become patterns that we then continue to live within. So things such as don't trust anybody, or sayings like be strong, don't show emotion, love them more than yourself. Those are all generational patterns that we, even if we didn't constantly hear it, but saw it, we pick up those patterns and begin to live them out in our own lives. And we also pass them on to generations after us, our kids and grandkids, and so on and so forth, if we aren't aware enough to fix it and heal from it and change it. Self-worth issues, thinking you should earn love instead of receive it. You can't earn something that you are. You just have to let it flow to you. Because if the right person also operates in their state of being as love, you don't earn that. It just flows naturally. Trauma responses, people pleasing, overfunctioning, hyper independence, distraction culture. This is the majority of society today. We're all distracted. We're overstimulated, but underconnected. Love isn't missing. Our ability to receive it is underdeveloped. This is why we struggle to build love filled lives. So then you say, Carissa, how do we actually build love filled lives? Well, you know, I got you, girl. Building a love filled life, brick by brick. Let's discuss brick one. Brick one would have to be self awareness. Change does not come without becoming aware of yourself, the way you're operating, the way you function, the way you handle conflict. You have to become aware enough in order to actually really heal and change any of your dysfunctional or wounded ways. So sit with your pattern. Ask yourself, what do I allow that doesn't align with my worth? What did love look like growing up? Where did I learn love? From pain instead of peace? The second brick is boundaries, not walls. We have to learn to live in love with boundaries, healthy boundaries. And if most of us didn't grow up knowing a boundary, then there's no way we can create them in our lives and function in a healthy way with them ourselves. So we have to understand what boundaries look like versus what walls, defense actually looks like. So walls protect you from love, but boundaries guide it toward you. So boundaries allows you to remain open to receive love, but you have healthy limits or cutoffs as to what it is you allow in your space and what it is that you give yourself to. Brick three would be choosing healthy relationships intentionally. This would look like consistency, communication, emotional intelligence, accountability. These are all things that should be present in a healthy relationship. Most people would believe, when they get into something new, oh, I have butterflies, or he gives me butterflies. Whenever I encounter them, I have this feeling of what they believe is just fairy tale love. But butterflies come from anxiety, not love. So if you have that when you get around a person, and I would suggest you actually take a moment to self evaluate and listen to what your nervous system is trying to tell you, because that's not love, that's anxiety. Brick four would be purpose and alignment. A love filled life is also a purpose filled life. You can't feel loved if you feel lost. And alignment is so important as well, because if you are in a relationship or if you are in connection with someone who you believe there is love presence, but there's no alignment, then that's not love. Because again, love comes with alignment, because love cannot operate in chaos. So if you are in something right now and there is more chaos than there is harmony or peace, check the alignment of that thing, because you may just be misaligned. And where misalignment exists, there is not love. Brick five, spiritual connection, whether God, faith, or inner truth. People who feel spiritually grounded experience more love in all areas. So, what are some of the questions people always ask about love? Well, in that chat search, I asked chat to give me some of those questions so that I can answer for you on the podcast. The first question was, how do I know if it's love or trauma? Well, trauma feels like urgency, anxiety, fear of loss or losing that person or thing. Love feels like peace, consistency, clarity, again, alignment. The second question is, why do I attract unavailable people? Well, because emotional unavailability mirrors an internal wound or fear. There's something within you that believes that that thing is actually home because it feels familiar. Your nervous system is running in a dysregulated manner, which believes that something that is actually unhealthy is healthy for you because of the wound or the trauma that your nervous system is still operating from out of survival protection, when in fact, it's the total opposite. That thing is not the healthy thing that your nervous system actually needs. So when you become familiar with emotional unavailability and you always end up in a relationship with someone who's emotional unavailable, or your friends are people who operate in emotional unavailability, that feels familiar to you, that feels like home, it feels safe. But in actuality, it's the total opposite. That's the unsafe thing that your system needs to unlearn so that you can actually begin to know what healthy emotional availability feels and looks like. Next is, how do I stop repeating patterns? Through awareness, healthy boundaries, new behavior, and new environment. Next, how do I start loving myself when I never have? Well, for each of us, when we're starting something new, we have to start small, right? Make the change become habit. So start small by doing things such as speaking kindly to yourself. Start saying affirmations to yourself because that is love. Give yourself rest, not just sleep, but rest. Stop betraying your needs to fulfill everyone else's. Keep the promises you make to you. You are a priority. Again, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So make sure you are filling your own cup. The next question is, how do I create a love-filled home? You do this with emotional safety. Well, what does emotional safety look like? Emotional safety looks like feeling free to be yourself, speaking your mind, and being vulnerable without fear of judgment, ridicule, or harm. It's characterized by respect, consistent and honest communication, honored boundaries, validation of feelings, and accountability from others. It's allowing you to trust they won't use your vulnerabilities against you. You feel seen, heard, supported, and respected, even during disagreements. Creating a love-filled home is also done with honesty and with modeling love, not just preaching it. So, coming to a close for this episode, what is the truth about love-filled living? Well, here's the truth. Love-filled living isn't perfection. It's intention. It's choosing peace over chaos. It's choosing alignment over avoidance. It's choosing boundaries over self-abandonment. It's choosing growth over cycles. A love-filled life is built one brick at a time. And you already have everything in you to build it. In our next episode, we will go a little deeper into this by discussing the stigmas men face around love. And we have a very special guest coming on to have a conversation with me in that episode, so don't miss it. I'm so excited. So until next time, continue to be the love the world needs, and I will talk to you in the next episode.